Hello everyone, thank you for joining me here today for another video, as today I will be kind of doing something a little different than I've done on this channel before. So I had channeled a being, a guide, this huge dragon guide who was very, very cool, but when I was going to film the video, I couldn't really get the words to come out. I knew what I wanted to say, but I struggled over and over and over just trying to film that video, and it wasn't working, and it was just all these feelings I had about not being happy with the content I'm making on the channel, not being happy with, the creative side of it, not feeling like it's good enough, and just kind of getting stuck on myself, and, the words literally getting stuck in my throat. So my guides suggested that I try something a little different. So what I decided to do is that I would connect to this being and paint something while connecting to his frequency. So kind of a collaboration with him, and then I would voice it over and tell you guys the message that I received from this guide. So as you can see here, this is me doing my best to paint on camera without being nervous, and at first I was trying to more like literally represent him, I guess. So he was this great big almost rock-like dragon. His scales looked like they were made of some kind of dense lava rock. They were a very, very dark brown color, and I remember I couldn't really see where we were when I was channeling and, connecting with this being, but I could feel that everywhere around us was dark and that he was huge. He was massive. He was this great big dragon. He literally was like a rock. Not just with the way his scales looked, but genuinely with his just presence was so stable and so grounding and so powerful. It was like meeting an immovable object is the only way I can really describe it. And I felt like he just had lava coursing through his veins. Not that I couldn't see it coming out of him necessarily, or like through the cracks in his scales. I couldn't see it, but I just felt like lava, like this fire was pumping through his veins. And he was just so cool, and he came with a really cool message that now is not the time to kind of lay low or hide or anything like that. And I really felt like this message was very specific to me, but also just for the collective, now is the time to not shy away from parts of you that may be viewed as something that's uncomfortable for other people to contend with. Whatever your strongest, most natural, most powerful frequency is, you deserve to fully embody that, even if it would make people uncomfortable. So one thing he was trying to show me is that he's this great big, almost daunting dragon, and if he had shown up to maybe the wrong person, they could have gotten very frightened seeing him. Maybe someone would have thought he was demonic. He was not. That's just what he looks like. He's just a dragon. There was nothing wrong with him at all, but it was just that message of sometimes your strongest frequency, your most empowered and most embodied frequency, is going to trigger people. And he was trying to tell me, and hopefully the rest of you watching this, that is divine and purpose too. It is like honestly an honor to get to trigger people, because it might not look like that, but you could be helping them as well if they've never contended with a frequency like yours before and only know how to react to it negatively. That sucks to be on the receiving end, but he really wanted to bring through the message that it was truly an honor. It was an honor to be able to kind of be that awakening for somebody, even if that awakening starts off really rough. He also wanted to bring the message that being very connected to your strongest, most authentic, most empowered frequency is also deeply grounding. And while I was getting that message is when I realized that he was in not necessarily the very core of the earth, but like some deep earth chamber, and I felt my body almost sink through the floor to meet him there, to see this big cavern he was in. And it was just very earthy energy, very grounded, like truly nothing could shake him from his frequency. Like, if I had gotten triggered and I had decided he was evil or a negative entity or something, it wouldn't have affected him at all. And that was the frequency he kind of wants us to try and embody when we are being our most empowered authentic selves, is that frequency in itself is grounding. And if you're afraid of how people will treat you, or what that might do to your social life or anything like that, this frequency is so grounding, it's so worth it, that it really won't affect you the way you think it will, is kind of the message I was feeling from him. Like, once you get to that place where you are that frequency, you're really just unstoppable. Like, it does not affect you. Not that you don't have emotions anymore, or you don't care about anything anymore, but just you're so strong in your truth that it does not matter if other people aren't where you are. So that's kind of what he wanted to bring forward and wanted to remind us of our power to do and to connect with. So thank you very much, my dragon friend. I actually did get his name while I was painting this. So I had sat down, I had channeled just to get an idea of what to do, because from the beginning I was feeling like I didn't want to do like paint a dragon. I felt like I didn't want it to be so literal, and that's also usually not really my art style, and I still want it to be my art style even though I was collaborating. So I sit down and channel. I get this idea of like two hands kind of pointing out in different directions with like eyes in the middle of them, and I just kind of start painting right away. And while I'm in this process of painting and reworking it and changing my ideas as I'm painting, I hear a very low voice, I don't know if gruff is the right word, but a low voice in my ear say the name. I don't know if I could pronounce it, like Tuar or something like that, and I don't think I'm pronouncing it exactly as I heard it, but I heard it like pretty clear as day, and at first I was like, oh my god, what the hell was that? But I remembered I had set up a sacred space, had called in Archangel Michael, and had connected with this being, and I'm like, oh, that's probably his name. So that was very cool. I'm not very clairaudient, so that was really like special to have had that happen. But yeah, I can now talk a bit about like my process when it comes to painting. So at first I kind of wanted to get like the dark brown rocky kind of texture of his scales on at least one of the hands, but as I was working, it just didn't look right and it didn't feel right. It felt, again, still too literal, and it didn't work well with the dark background. So I was feeling called to make a very blue-green hand as the first hand, as you'll see as I'm working through it. And just having little, slices of red throughout it to kind of bring in that feeling of the lava underneath the skin is what I was doing for that. And for the next hand, that one was going to be a lot more bold, a lot more red, a lot more fiery. And though if I'm being honest, I didn't necessarily know what everything would look like before I started. It was definitely like a working process. I did take breaks, of course. I would need to step away and look away from it every once in a while. And yeah, you can see here I'm starting to work on the red hand. I will say the lighting in my little studio is not great, so I will show a better like finished photo at the end of this video so you guys can like actually see what it looks like in the proper lighting. But yeah, basically as I was working, I was wondering like, how is this his frequency though? Like what does this have to do with the dragon I met and the message I channeled? And as I was painting more, I could feel that the hands were kind of a call to action, to like stand up. It was kind of like volunteering to be a part of that strong, empowered, unshakable, grounded frequency. The hands are colored, inhumanly to show that there is something a little supernatural about these volunteers to embody this frequency. One of them I gave sharp, pointy nails to tie back into the frequency of kind of shocking people or triggering people, not to hurt people or bother people intentionally, but just because the frequency is so different, it shocks, it scares. It can look a little scary, but that doesn't mean it is, or that doesn't mean it's wrong. The eyes, I felt, were not only like a reference to the dragon himself, as I made these kind of like dragon-esque eyes coming out of the hands, but they were also kind of like a promise, like a volunteer's promise to keep their eyes open to see everything. It's hard to, fully comprehend everything that's going on just in the world and in general, maybe in your life, and just fully be aware of potential, consequences of being your true self, and perhaps the danger even that could put you in, depending who you are and where you are. But it's kind of like making a choice to keep your eyes open to that and still raise your hand up and still be strong. It's a refusal to shut your eyes to what's happening around you. I added some dots here under the eyes I've made in the middle. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big fan of those dots. I do cover them up. I just really liked how it looked when it's like those three eyes are peering out of the darkness. I felt like the hands represented those of us that will embody this frequency that our dragon friend was trying to promote, and the three eyes in the back kind of show his support in the background, show him watching and supporting from the ethereal realms as we do the work in this 3D physical realm we've incarnated into. So I am almost done painting here. I will insert a little image of the finished product, in better lighting. But yeah, I hope that this channeled message and this channeled art piece means something to you, or it supports you in some way. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me chat and watch the speed paint, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, week, year, whatever, and thank you so much for being here.